Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, and hopefully we all walk away a little more connected to what matters most. Today's guest is Julie Heaton, an author and mentor who spent over 30 years climbing the corporate ladder before answering a deep calling. She's someone who chose to stop performing and start becoming, transforming from self-loathing to self-loving through radical honesty and courage. Let's step into Julie's world and hear the wisdom that has guided her home to herself. Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Julie, and I'm an author and a mentor for people in life transitions.
Okay. What's your favorite quote, Julie?
My favorite quote is everything always works out for me. It's something I can pull anytime I need it. When I'm looking for a parking spot to when I'm making a big life transition, I'm reassured knowing that the universe is always looking out for me and that has my best interest at heart. Even if it doesn't look like it to me, I know it's always working out.
When you say the universe is always, can you repeat the quote, please?
Everything always works out for me. So I feel like life is always working out for me, even when it seems it's not. Even when doors shut or I don't get what I want, I know that that's a nudge from the universe to head another direction. And I truly believe that if you listen and you appreciate and have gratitude for the things that appear in your life, whether they're seemingly good or seemingly bad, life works out. You have a much smoother life when you believe that everything always works out for you.
Okay. Now,
does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I want it to make sense even way better. So I would ask for some clarifications. When you say everything always works out for you, what exactly do you mean? And would you be kind enough to give an example of what you mean?
Yeah, it's what I mean is there's nothing that's not meant for me. So when I'm going through my life, so for example, I just finished writing my next book, and it was really,
congrats.
Thank you. It was the hardest thing I've done so far, and it really tested me. And at the end of the book, I'd go from, oh my gosh, this is really good, it's going to help a lot of people, to, who am I to say this? It's no good. And I would go to these huge extremes. And then at one point, I went to this new moon circle. It's a circle where people gather and kind of go through their intentions. And I was telling everybody what was going on. And in that circle, everybody in that circle had an issue, pain in their heart from, each was a chapter that I've written in my book. So when I say everything always works out for me, I was shown that night, no, this book is relevant. This book has a place in the world. It's not, you're doing it for a reason, and people need to hear this book. So I believe it's such a simple phrase, and I could pull out, I don't have to think about the quote. I don't have to worry about it. It's just something I say to myself. If I'm running late, I think, well, everything always works out for me. And then I just realize whatever is meant for me, it won't pass me by. I'll get there when I get there. If someone says, no, I don't want to carry your books, I think, well, there's going to be something better. Everything always works out for me. This store is not meant for me. There's a reason for it. I feel like there's a reason behind every no, and there's a reason behind every yes. And I might not have the vision to see it, but God or the universe or your higher being sees it. They can see everything, and so they're gentle nudges all the way. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, but I just want us to clarify something. Earlier on you said there's an example you give, and I just want to, this is that point was like a very sensitive area, and so I'd like to shed light to it so we can quickly address that. I understand what it means to say everything always works out for me, right? To have a mindset that, oh yeah, I don't know what the picture is, but at the end of the day, in retrospect, I will be able to connect all the dots and it will all make sense, that this will all be a grand plan. But right now, I'm just like in the plan, I can't even make sense of it. It doesn't even make sense, but eventually it will. But there is an area which is everything always works out for me. And we want to be careful, right? I feel like we should be careful, and I feel like you should address it because most people, they would see the quotes, everything always works out for me, and they might want to abuse it and not try and not do and not show up
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and say, oh, everything
No,
always works out for me.
no. I thank you for addressing that. One of in my first book, one of my chapters is the doing. You can wish and dream all you want, but there's action and doing involved in getting what you want. Uh, uh, for example, if you want to get in shape, you've got to get up and take a walk or go to the gym or do whatever you're going to do. There's doing involved. You can visualize it and you can visualize your body being healthy and in shape, but then you have to do the work. And that goes with everything in life, with relationships, with prosperity, with whatever. Visualizing is important. Knowing that everything works out for you is important, but then taking action it's just as important. You've got to show up.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You. As much as you believe that everything always works out, you should be working out.
Yeah, you should be working out too. I just mean, I think people get real discouraged when a door closes and it doesn't look the way they thought it should look. Like, maybe you really wanted something, you really wanted this job and you didn't get it, or you really wanted this relationship and it didn't work out. I've always leaned on, well, okay, that sucked, but you know what? Something better is going to come along. It always works out for me. It's just my tagline. It's what I do to pick myself back up or to keep myself motivated going forward. I really have a trust and a belief that life is orchestrated in a way that everything always works out the way it's supposed to work out. So
Yeah.
for me, it takes me out of a victim mode.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. Or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Like, why is this happening? And I can look at where the rainbow is. What's the gift in this? So you could say it that way too. What's the gift in this? Either way,
What's the rainbow in this?
What's the rainbow in this? So those all three go in my head. So if something's tragic, or years ago I had a son who was really struggling and really struggling with addiction, and it was really hard. It was a really hard time in my life, and one point was so low, and I was asking God, just help me. I've asked you to help me. What am I supposed to do here? And he said, in my head, I heard, I did, you are doing, I was where I was supposed to be. And my gift in that moment was realizing that it wasn't my path. My son's path isn't my path. And my gift was, I was there to love him, but not be him. I got to support him and love him, but it wasn't my job to live his life. And that was a realization, that was a rainbow for both of us in that moment. Not to have it where I'm trying to manage something that's not mine to manage, and where he's having to figure out his own path separate from me. And we both learned a lot, and he's doing great, by the way. And
Yeah.
But that was I didn't know at that point that he was going to be alive today, to be honest. I mean, it was really bad. But the gift was that. The gift was the lesson that he came through me. He isn't me. He has his own journey, his own path, and all his pain and all the things he went through. There's a reason for it. I don't know what it is, but there's a reason for it. All the pain and all the things I went through, I can help other people. I understand what it feels like, to go through some of these things. So everything always works out for me. or where's the rainbow? What can I learn from this? I believe that life is one big classroom and we're always learning. And if we can take every experience or every trigger we get, every time we go, oh, and think, what's the lesson here? We're ahead of the game. Then you can live in peace, So if I take where I was 10 years ago and I was, there's just so much pain and trauma that I've processed since then. I didn't even know who I was or what I wanted because there was too much pain and trauma. I was buried in it. So in the last several years, I've learned to process that and process generational trauma and find a place of peace. So now every time I get triggered or something comes up that seems unpleasant, my first response might be, but then my second response is, hey, what's the lesson in this? What am I here to learn? Is this a master class?
Yeah. The part where you talked about what's the lesson in this, and it's one of the areas that fascinates me, and that is people learn lessons from experiences, from things that happen to them, but they learn the wrong lessons. They learn the lessons that instead of working for them, it works against them. It end up, they don't just have a bad experience. They end up learning a lesson that gives them a complete bad experience even after that experience. So I'll give an example of what I mean. Right? Tragic things happen, unfortunate things happen. But let's give an example. Let's say, this interview we're doing, right? I'm the podcast host, you're the podcast guest, right? And you show up, right? And while I'm there, I'm trying to interview you. And let's just imagine what a terrible experience one could possibly have from a guest, whatever it might be. But
Hopefully I don't do that to you.
My listeners' brain are running wide yet, and I have that experience, right? And I'm like, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tennessee, Franklin,
Okay,
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have that experience, Tennessee, and just you. And guess what? Tomorrow I see a guest, and I'm like, where are you calling from? And they mention Tennessee. Before they even completely see, I just cancel the meeting and I move on. And I'm like, no, that's how people from Tennessee, that's how they do, right? And now what's happening is that the bad experience I had with someone, I'm projecting it on someone that I've never even met, right? And I'm like, even before they even open their mouth to talk, and I'm like, yeah, that's all the people from Tennessee, that's how they do. They don't, right? And I did learn a lesson, but that's the wrong lesson, right?
Yeah, I really believe that all our lessons are internal. So if I look at you and have a response like, I don't know, he looks like a mean guy or something, I don't know. Or someone says something to me and I get mad. That's my work. It's not your work. So you're right. There's a quote from Rumi that's yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world.
Ooh,
And
today
I'm wise, so I'm changing myself.
in myself. Wow.
Yeah. And so that's the crux of it all, right? It's not about what's happening outside of you. It's about what's happening inside of you. And that's the work. That's where the work is. That's where the forgiveness is. That's where the compassion should lie. Once we can fill ourselves with peace and compassion, it can flow out. Then we can love our brothers, Yeah. But if you're filled with triggers and upsetness and, anger, that's what flows out. So.
Yeah. What I noticed that as much as we say the reality and reality, as we don't even see what reality is, what we see is what we see ourselves. That's, I don't know if that makes sense to you, where you might be saying something and it will mean something to me differently. Why? Because of a whole lot of experience that comes into play.
Well, perception is reality. So my perception is my reality. Your perception is your reality. It's so fascinating to me that brothers and sisters raised in the same house have totally different remembrances and experiences.
Yeah.
And it's because of my mind and my files in my mind and who I am, my personality, see through a different lens. I see things literally differently. So it's all your past experiences only live in your head. They don't live anywhere else. Even, one of the things I write about is forgiveness a lot, because I had to do a lot of forgiving. And when I started down that path, I realized, forgiveness is it's only about me and releasing the trauma in my own body. It's not about the other person. They really don't have anything to do with it. I'm not offering them a gift of forgiveness.
Yeah,
I'm
not doing them
offering,
any favor.
not doing, and whatever I thought the offense was is only in my head. It's totally different in their head. It's totally different. So if you can just remember that all this pain you're living in is yours, you own it. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to release it? And that's the work. Loving yourself, really loving yourself from the outside, from the inside out. I mean, just that's where the peace comes. That's where the beauty of life comes. That's where it's a lot easier to say everything always works out for me, because I know from a really bigger perspective of my life that it does. Everything always works out. Whatever it's supposed to be, that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Julie. You've been so kind to share some personal stories just to illustrate the quote, and I really appreciate that. I'll be like Oliver and I'll ask for more. Would you be kind enough to share two to three more stories? 2 to 3 more stories of when it felt like everything didn't work out for you. It felt like the quote wasn't even true. But then after some time, the occurrence, after the experience, you look back and say, yeah, why did I think that everything didn't work out for me? It did. And yeah.
I'll tell you, I had a whole corporate life. I was in corporate for 30 years and in a leadership position. And I was a real kind of hard driver. I did just real, and I found myself really unhappy and more than unhappy. I actually made myself physically ill. I didn't have, I didn't even know who I was anymore. I was so unrecognizable because I was pleasing everybody else. I was living a life for other people. I was doing this job because it was important in the story of my family origin. Like I had followed the script of who I was supposed to be, but it wasn't really who I am at all. So I looked successful on the outside, but I was very, very, very unhappy on the inside. And I quit that job without a plan, and I lost a lot of relationships because of it. I lost a lot of people in my life that were close to me that I never thought I would lose. And that felt very like, this isn't working out for me at all. Like, what am I going to do? I was so sad. And then I started healing and discovering who I am again and doing the things that I needed to do for me. And then I realized sometimes you have to upgrade your room to find yourself. Like sometimes you need to let go of what's not serving you anymore so you can rise. So what's holding you back? And sometimes it's painful, but it's necessary. So that's probably a really big thing that everything always works out for me. You're right. I think when I say everything always works out for me, it's such a simple thing and I could just say it in my head real fast, but it can sound a little flippant, like everything always works out for me. But it's deeper than that. It's just what I say to get to know in my heart that it's going to be okay. So even these big things where I'm not invited to family Christmas anymore. There's just things that have happened in my life where I've had to decide that's okay. You know what? The most important thing you can do for yourself is be you and love you. And then everything else, you figure everything else out. I'll go back to my son, because those of us who have kids know our kids play a big role in our growth, in our spiritual growth. We think we might know what's going on, but until you have kids and you have to figure out you learn so much from them, But my son, Kellen, he went off to college and he wasn't doing well. He didn't like it. He wasn't doing well. But in my story of our life, he was going to go to college and do well and be a lawyer. Like I had his story written out like my story was written out. And I was really frustrated because he wasn't doing well and I had handed him everything, And so I went to give him a big lecture about why it's important and all this stuff. And in the middle of that lecture, he just said to me, Mom, what's it all for? You're not happy. And it was like, yeah, he's right. What is it all for? I'm not happy. He's right. How am I going to lecture this kid about doing all these things when really I should be talking to him about inner peace and happiness, So that was another lesson on life that stopped me in my tracks. It was like, he wasn't going to follow the prescription I had written him, and it was still going to be okay. He was going to figure it out. Yeah. He had his own plans, and that was a big, he is one of my master teachers, and I love that kid to death, but he was never going to follow my plan, and that's okay, because it's not my life, it's his. And so it wasn't, at that point in my life, I had such a tight grip on my ego being so involved in how he did that I had so much to learn and let go of about who I was and what I wanted and my role in his life. So that was a really great spiritual awakening too. That's the rainbow. That was the big gift of that, was he just hit me right across the face with it. Like, well, you're not happy. What's it all for? Oh yeah, good question. I mean, I get this everywhere in my life. This shows up for me, everywhere in my life. Like I said, from finding a parking space to accepting a new client to writing a book. It's what I use. And I always go back to inner work. It's always about my reaction is the only thing I have control over. And so it's always about me and how I'm handling what's happening internally.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing that story.
Yeah.
I always like when episodes are real and down to earth and straight to the point, and not just conceptual, abstract concepts, right? Something people can relate to and connect with. And you've been really kind with sharing your own personal stories. Thank you.
You know what? I've always told people, if we all shared, no one would have to feel alone. I am an open book. And it wasn't always popular, people didn't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
And now I'm popular. Now people want to hear the truth.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Julie. What do you do, and where can people learn more about you and what you do?
Well, I'm an author. So like I said, I just finished my next book that should be out in the fall. It's called Roar. It's about reclaiming your voice, owning your story, aligning in your truth, and radiating your light. So that book is kind of how you uncover who you are and release the stories of what other people are telling you are, and then how do you use your voice and power. And so that's coming out in fall, but I've written the Manifestors Playbook and the Manifestors Workbook. And I also have a children's series of books all about love and kindness. And those are all on my website. It's at hellojulieheaton.com. You can find me there.
Can you say the website name again, and if possible, spell it out for us?
Sure. It's hellojulieheaton.com. It's HELLOJULIEHETON.com. And there
Thank you so much.
You'll find I also offer one-on-one coaching and executive coaching and group coaching and workshops and things too.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight to chat with you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who would love the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.